Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, guys. This is Curtis coming to you with a new challenge that I found on the Reddit boards, trying to get a Christmas tree onto the planet Eeloo with some presents and a Kerbal to give. Because every planet needs Christmas. It's a magical time of year, and I wanted to try and make that happen. So I saw a bunch of different pictures and videos on the boards of people starting to make Christmas trees, and all of them had fins and things like that. So I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. Um, Unfortunately, eh, yeah, as you'll see in the first couple minutes, it doesn't go very well. I went all with all I-beams for the branches, and then I used some pods to make the ornaments, which are exploding as we speak. Um, and unfortunately, it made everything extremely heavy. So you get to watch some of my antics as I try and get the dang thing off the ground. Uh, Starting off, I actually went through a bunch of different iterations before I got to this. But you'll notice here I am using uh, the huge orange tanks with the mainsail engines, and I've got a skipper for the middle one. This is also the first time I've ever used asparagus fuel, or whatever the heck you want to call it. So I was kind of experimenting with that, and for those of you who haven't done asparagus fuel lines or rocketry, whatever it's called, um, it's very efficient and very awesome. Um, I found myself going places I've never been before. Unfortunately, none of them are Eeloo. Um, so that was strike two there, coming in. We're gonna go ahead and go into the third one. I'm just I'm going through everything. You'll see here all the staging I have. Some of that is the Separatrons, because earlier on when I was kind of fiddling around, some of my tanks were having issues um, dropping. They would hit the engines of the tanks on the inside and all that mess and whatever. Um, Also, because this thing is as heavy as it is, you can see it just flies like molasses. And I don't know what the hell is going on here, but a couple tanks always just keep falling off. I swear it's like the Kerbal missile crisis. It's Kerbal's version of the Cuban one. It's kind of ridiculous. Um, I I get really frustrated with this. I actually went through a whole run, which I didn't tape, where one of those completely knocked off, and I was still able to live through it, and be able to go fairly well. So, I figured, one or two I might as well try. And as you notice, I took a nosedive right into the grass and asphalt. And I don't know what's going on here, but it really is kind of frustrating. Um, so in between some of these launches, what I'm actually doing is flipping around a few the beams, not the beams, the little struts, the structural struts that keep everything working. So after like 15 or 20 iterations, I finally get it going, and this is my masterpiece, and it is flying. Thank you, Jesus. Um, the Cubans have decided to stand down, but you'll notice that in learning about asparagus rocketry, my fuel is kind of whacked out. I don't know what I did. I went by the diagrams and it didn't work very well, so I actually even have to shut off all the engines just to drop everything. And there they go. Nice, beautiful cluster. I figured they'd explode, in collision, but, whatever. So, this next part's kind of boring, so as you can see, I'm kind of elevating through it. I I notice early on, I'm watching my speed and everything, that I'm just not gaining the speed that I want. Even with the highest stock engines you can use, I, I'm I'm not doing it. And I was to the point where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to just see how far I can go, um, because I'm sick of it. I'd actually by this time probably spent about 7 hours working on this thing. Um, Side note, that's a beautiful shot right there. The Christmas tree with all of the batteries, which make for a humongous amount of energy. Um, and then the four hanging balls that have, I don't know, 12 Kerbals in them or something. I actually end up having, like, I think it's 30 Kerbals inside that thing. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to land, and you'll see the cross members there that have the RCS tanks. Um, they also have some of those small little orange jets, the little one-directional solid boosters. Or I guess they're not solid, but they only do about 20 impulse. Those are my tree stand. I realized about this point that I wasn't going to make it to Eeloo. So even though there's not a whole lot in terms of gas that's being expended, there's not a whole lot in terms of speed either. And I know that as soon as these two mainsails drop off, all I'm going to have is that skipper, and the skipper just does not have the power needed to get to Eeloo. So I'm hoping with all the fuel that I have left, because I'm going to end up having, two full tanks two full orange tanks of fuel, that I can burn for days, and hopefully it's enough that I can at least get to Minmus. So that's my new stop, and I'll go ahead and plot a course because I want to know kind of where my apex is, but I go ahead and get into position. Also, just so you guys know, there's probably 20 or 24 RCS ports on there. It's kind of ridiculous, but they help me maneuver. Anyways, long story short, I don't make it even to Minmus. I get this far. So I go ahead and get a few of them out there just to give you guys Merry Christmas. So you get a nice shot of them floating out in space with their Christmas tree. Maybe an alien will come and say hi and give them the Christmas present that lets them get back home, because I am completely out of fuel by this time. So thanks for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe. Happy New Year, guys.